welcome to the Dave Dabbah Big Show presented by Seat77.com. As always, I'm Dave Dabbah. Today, I'm coming to you live from the super plush Seat77 broadcast studios here in the heart of the Silicon Valley. That's right, Producer Buck. These are plush studios that we have here for the big Dave Dabbah show at Seat77. Okay, so we have a huge show for everyone today. We have more from the Johnny Manziel saga as things continue to not look good for Johnny. People are piling on Cam Newton. We got a new kitten at our house. And is it the end for George Karl in Sacramento? All of that and more on today's super big show. All right. Well, I have to tell you, if you haven't had a chance, check us out on TuneIn Radio. That's right. I will say it. We are blowing up North America. We're on TuneIn Radio as well as iTunes, and things going well for us on iTunes. So make sure you subscribe to the big Dave Dabbah Big Show presented by Seat77. Okay, so we're going to start today's show off with Johnny Manziel. And the Johnny Manziel saga continues to heat up. Now, before we get into the ugly, because Producer Buck, you know how I feel about Manziel. You know that I was hopeful that he would turn into something different that the NFL hadn't really seen before. Unfortunately, Johnny is turning into somebody that might not ever play another snap in the National Football League. Now, according to Bleacher Report, and I'm going to go ahead and read this, I was with a Browns player yesterday. Johnny Manziel, going into what would have been a start late in the season, showed up drunk at practice on a Wednesday. That's fantastic. You're showing up drunk at practice on a Wednesday. The Browns lied and said he was in a concussion protocol. Okay, so let me stop there for a second, Producer Buck. You're either in the NFL concussion protocol or you're not. So I'm a little confused how the Browns were even able to get away with that. Let me repeat. The Browns lied. They tried to protect, and I would argue enable, the irresponsible and very troubled young man that is Johnny Manziel. It's amazing that the Browns knew that they had some major issues with Johnny. You could tell by the way they started to start him, then bench him, then start him, then bench him. It was like, like in high school, Producer Buck, if you had that friend that had that girlfriend, and then they were with the girlfriend, and then they weren't, and then they were, and they weren't, and they were, and they weren't. And this went on for like 4 years during high school. And then they went away to college, and they got back from college, and then they started dating again, and that went on forever. So the Browns apparently were just torn. They didn't know how to handle it. I mean, how do we deal with, as Peyton Manning would say, I'm going to have some Budweisers tonight and actually playing in a football game. So now on to the really ugly, because that wasn't ugly enough, was it? You need more ugly, don't you, Producer Buck? Well, I've got it for you. So the incident that happened it's probably been about a week and a half now ago, was between Johnny Manziel, and I'm going to go ahead and set this up. Johnny Manziel and his on and off girlfriend, Crowley. And so they were hanging out in Texas at a hotel. And apparently things didn't go so well at the hotel. So Manziel basically throws her into his car, breaks her eardrum, and then as they're actually pulling away, and of course Johnny used a valet for all of this. She said to the valet, "Please don't let him take me. I'm scared for my life." And the valet didn't do anything. In fact, the valet didn't know what to do. Anyways, in the affidavit, he hit me with his open hand on my left ear for jumping out of the car, the affidavit states. I realized immediately that I could not hear out of that ear. And in fact, until yesterday, she still couldn't hear out of that ear. So anyways, apparently they drive back to her apartment, and this is when Johnny says, I would never kill you, but I'm going to kill myself. So listen, instead of just piling on Johnny, which is basically what everybody wants to do at this point, show me the rehab. I think it's kind of one of those things that's a little bit sad to see, anybody that's having any kind of substance abuse issue deal with. And I really hope that Johnny Manziel is going to get some help. Okay, so producer Buck, I'm not sure. We gotta lighten the mood now. And the best way to lighten the mood is really not with a baby and not with a monkey, and I'm not sure what that a puppy from the Super Bowl commercial. The best way to lighten the mood is to talk about kittens. And at the big Dabbah household, and as you know, we have 5, 6, 7, 8 children. We now have one pet per child in the house. My bedtime routine takes about 2.5 hours, and we decided to add more to the madness. The Dabbah family is growing, and we're growing with a kitten that we adopted over the weekend. So, we have so many kids and we have so many pets that we didn't know what to call this kitten. We don't know. So if you have any ideas, please send us an email at info@seat77.com and we will read it on the air tomorrow. Cat ideas to the Dave Dabbah Big Show. Emails at info@seat77.com. All right, Producer Buck, here's what we have so far. And my favorite name so far is Pinecone. My daughter Madeline happened to see the kitten, and she looked at it and she said Pinecone, and then we actually had a pine cone in the house, and he sat the pine cone down on the ground, and this little kitten comes up right next to the pine cone, and you can't tell where the cat stops and the pine cone starts. So we got pine cone, we've got Haley, we've got HP, because apparently we like Hewlett Packard printers, HD because we like high definition television, 4K, Bella, La Cat, and my personal favorite, which my dad would be proud of, Inu-san, which means honorable dog in Japanese. At least that's what I was told 20 years ago. Anyways, so we do need some help. info@seat77.com. Send us your cat names, and we will read them on the air in tomorrow's The Dave Dabbah Big Show, presented by seat77.com. North America. We have two more stories for you. Real quick, George Karl is going to be fired by the Sacramento Kings. You heard it here first. It's not an exclusive, but it might as well be. So George is going to be canned. It could happen any day now. Expect the classy Sacramento Kings organization to wait until the All-Star break to do it. But George Karl will be out. They will have yet another coach in Sacramento. Hey, I wonder what... Hey, Producer Buck, I wonder what Rick Adelman is doing these days, if they can somehow hunt down Rick Adelman. Okay, finally, today, one last story. And this goes back to the Super Bowl. And if we think about what happened, and as we start to get, now almost 48 hours away from the Super Bowl, the Broncos are throwing their big party today, the big Orange Crush party, lots of Papa John's pizza, and I really wonder how much Budweiser Peyton Manning will drink today. My guess is not that much. Anyways, so, all of that's happening, but as I look back, this defensive performance, especially by Von Miller, becomes even more impressive, and I can only imagine 5 or 6 years from now, when we look back at the Super Bowl, especially if Cam Newton goes on to have a stellar career from this point on. I think we're going to look back at this and really respect the defense that the Broncos put together as well as what Von Miller did as an individual on that Bronco defense. That being said, Cam Newton won't back down. He has and is refusing to apologize for what he did during his presser. So, there's Seahawk players coming out and saying stuff now, and of course they lost. And there's players on both sides of the fence saying things that are pretty interesting. But my favorite quote of the day has to go to Wade Phillips, the architect of that Denver defense. A little dab will... Okay, here we go. Wade Phillips. We'll take two. Wade Phillips. A little dab would do you, but too much dab will undo you. Take three. Wade Phillips. A little dab with do you, but too much dab will undo you. It's hard to read, but that is from Wade Phillips. That is absolutely fantastic. Anyways, as we look back on the fumble towards the end of the game, Cam basically came out and said, well, I didn't want to get injured, so I didn't dive on the fumble. Look, I don't know about you, but like if my grandma was in the game, I would have freaking thrown her on the pile to recover that football. I mean, if my baby was at the game, I would have thrown my baby on the fumble to recover it. Look, you have to do what you have to do in the Super Bowl. I caught a little bit of one of the John Elway Super Bowl victories. And there's a play against the Packers, a famous play where John's like 37, 38 years old, and he dives and he gets flipped, like a helicopter, and he's just spinning around, and you can just see the pain, rattling throughout this 37, 38-year-old, quarterback, and he's doing whatever he has to take. You are in, Cam, the biggest game of your life. You dive and you fight for every last thing that you can get. It's unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable, I tell you. Anyways, listen, thanks everybody for tuning in to the second installment of the Dave Dabbah Big Show, presented by the big guys over here at Seat 77. Send us an email, info@seat77.com. All right, Producer Buck, I hear you. All right. For the Dave Dabbah Big Show, I'm Dave Dabbah reminding you that not everyone can be a champion, but everyone can act like one, Cam. And good luck, North America.